size of an 8-top of this table, if someone can come out of that and be able to realize their dream, I really want to represent that you can hold on to your dream, whatever it is, you can make it happen.
Welcome to African Voices. I'm Larry Madoa. We're in Washington, D.C. today with one of the most accomplished African-born chefs of all time, Marcus Samuelsson. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you so much for
This place is
being here.
spectacular.
We're really proud of it. We wanted to really establish African patterns and roots in the restaurant,
Right.
but almost in an abstract way. But as a person from the continent, you know this was created by us. The tones that you see in Africa throughout, and the whole menu really is a back and forth between African American culture,
Right.
the city of DC, or DMV as you call the whole area between, you know, Maryland, the district, and Virginia. Also the continent, this back and forth.
You opened your restaurant in Addis at the beginning of the year, and then this a few months later. How do you think about when you're starting a new location? What kind of vibe are you going for?
Well, in each place, it needs to have real meaning locally, right? The Addis project is, you know, on top of the tallest building in the in East Africa, and it's a way to see old Addis with new Addis meeting. You know, you can taste it in our restaurant. You can visually see how the city is transforming. So it's something to aspire to. But if you're looking down from the 47th floor, there's a tiny school there about 2 blocks away, and those students are all cooking students that work in our restaurant, right? So it's literally a pathway for hospitality in Ethiopia to hopefully be the leading place of hospitality on the continent. And I feel like we're starting with the restaurant and having that pathway between the young cooks that can inspire, and eventually hopefully they can also see themselves in terms of hospitality and building their own businesses. But besides the hospitality, what else can we do in the community? That's always important, to be in the community and of the community.
You are a child of different worlds. You were born in Ethiopia, raised in Sweden, and you've made a life here in the United States over the last 3 decades. So when you do something, is that always part of your story and your journey?
And obviously, being adopted at a very early age, there's very little that me and my sister had to do with that, but it happened, and it was completely transformative in our young lives. I went from the warmest country in the world to the coldest country in the world. I went from being literally Kafahunsi guy to Marcus Samuelsson, but I will never forget my roots. I'm extremely proud of being Ethiopian and being an African. I've lived in many countries. I've lived in Japan, I've lived in Switzerland and France, and I bring all of those experiences with me to the experience that I share with the people on my teams, right? So I can relate to a lot of people because I've been an immigrant 6 times. And it's important to share and understand people's perspective, whether that is through spirituality, whether that is through tribes, or whether that is through a nationality. If you mention a country, I've most likely cooked there and been there, or maybe even lived there.
Coming up, what it means to be African and immigrant in America, and why Marcus says he may be more patriotic than people born here. You've been an immigrant 6 times, and that's the story of so many Africans, because we move around so much. Japan, you'll find us there, in Switzerland, here in the US, and in a world where that's becoming increasingly anti-immigrant, you wear that proudly.
Well, being an immigrant is a state of mind, and we share, regardless of what immigrant you are, majority of us, we wake up every morning and try to work extremely hard for our family. We always are in this in-between space between the country that we came from and where we're going. As an immigrant, you don't take anything for granted. And we do share that level of pride, complexity, multi-language, very often multi-religion, but we also have enormous amount of gratitude to the country we're in.
Your story is so unlikely. Born in a hut in Ethiopia, and then getting adopted to Sweden, and then becoming this multi-award winning chef, entrepreneur, author. It's almost impossible. How did you do it?
Well, first of all, I stand here representing many families. First, my first family and my mother Anu, that in her mid-20s really sacrificed her life, walked us to the hospital in Addis, and she passed away in tuberculosis. Me and my sister had TB as well. But then also the luck and the fortune of the goodness of others. There was a nurse there that had 3 kids of her own and took us in because she knew she couldn't just give us back to the street, and eventually connected us with the Sweden adoption agency. So again, life can have these events that happen that are so much bigger than yourself, but that's really goodness of others and luck, or whatever you, good juju, whatever you want to call it, right? So there's a level of gratitude and appreciation for others that I have, and I think a lot of adopted people share. I share a lot of gratitude to my Swedish family, that they did not have any education how to raise 2 little black kids in Sweden in the mid-70s. They just didn't, right? But they did it. They poured love, and they knew how to parent, and they knew how to love us. And we were always, we left the house with a lot of confidence and know-how. We learned the language quickly, we learned the culture. But as you grow up as a teenager, you always want to know, when you see that you look different, and you want to know about your heritage. And so I knew that I always wanted to go back to Africa and work with Africa in some capacity. Eventually in my 20s, I met my father, and that's a big trip for any adopted kid. Sometimes something that I wouldn't recommend for everybody, because you really mentally have to be ready to meet your birth family. And if you're not ready to do that, wait, sit it out, or go with a significant other or someone that you really love and trust, because it is so mentally challenging, but it's also the most wonderful thing. For us, it worked out, but I've heard stories where it have not worked out.
Wow, so at least that ended well.
It did end well. I met my father when he was about 75. I met his beautiful kids and my stepsisters and brothers, and we still have a great relationship. And obviously with my wife Maya, she's been the one that really connecting me to the culture and the language of Ethiopia that I lost, but I've never lost a love for Ethiopia, and the fact that we can now go back and work with her organization, Three Goats, and work with the restaurant and contribute and add value and give hope and give opportunities for young Ethiopians. That's important to me.
And it's through your Swedish grandmother that you first got introduced to cooking, deliciousness, as you call it.
Yes. I mean, Helga was such a, Helga came from my Swedish grandmother came from a very modest background. She was a domestic, she became a cook, and went through the transformation of Sweden, right? Sweden was an extremely poor country when she was born, and ended up being a wealthy country by the time we arrived to Sweden. But her roots were always of a certain level of respect for food and love for food. Everything we ate was really in her garden. It was or going to a market. I also grew up a lot with my uncles and on my father's side that came from a fishing village. So having these places of everything centered around food, that food can be something that you could also both give to your neighbors, but also commercialize and sell and make a living off, which is obviously when you're in a fishing village, it's core to what that village produced.
Right.
So both of these sides, I would say, pushed me towards that. But then once I got scholarships and were able to travel to places like Switzerland at the highest level of hotels and learn multi-languages, that's when I understood it would become my core calling as a craftsman.
Growing up, did you think you'd end up a chef?
You know, I always wanted to become a soccer player. I'm a failed soccer star.
You and me both.
Yeah, in my head, I'm still, I'm an Arsenal fan, so it's always hard for us.
You and me both.
But I do
It's
think
a terrible team, but we stick with it.
You cannot change team, first of all. It doesn't work like that. But I think this year we have a good shot.
We say this every season. Every season. Next season, FC.
Yes, exactly. We do.
So when soccer didn't work out, then food was like a natural path for you.
You know, I learned a lot through soccer. I learned that there's one coach, there's a chef in the kitchen. Soccer is all about collaborating, teamwork with people holding their positions and roles. Well, it's the same thing in a kitchen. There are talented people on the soccer pitch. There are talented people in the kitchen. You have to work really, really hard in soccer to become not just good, but great. You have to work extremely hard to work in the kitchen too. So there was a lot of things that I felt in my environment, it was a good thing to just be able to transcend into, and it took me all over the world. I didn't know it at the time, but once I got that food bug, I didn't want to change.
Next, we go inside the kitchen with Marcus Samuelsson to see how he brings the taste of Africa to American cuisine. I read a review in the Washington Post that said when a woman ate this cornbread, she moaned with pleasure how good it was.
Yes, 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 yes.
You have become one of the most visible ambassadors for Black and African cooking, and I think it's based off of your foundation in Harlem, which is of great significance in New York, the African American community. Tell me how that fusion came together.
I would say it's life really have guided me to, sometimes when you're adopted, it's almost like you live your identity life almost backwards, right? Things that the average normal person can take for granted, like, I don't know the eyes of my mother, right? Something that any person, most people can, and that's something that you share we share as adopted, this idea about identity. And I've been so fortunate to have food and culture to pour that identity into. But then also, just as a Black chef that reached a certain level, when I was a young teenager coming up in cooking, I never found a cookbook or content or anyone that looked like me. So I knew something always grew in me. It's like the minute I got a chance to have my own kitchen, hire my own crew, I knew that I would always make sure of two things. I would hire women and I would hire people of color. Because those were the two things I never saw in my upbringing as a chef. And we have roles, right? As a young line cook, my role was to show up, say yes chef, and work hard. As an executive chef, I had the power to, with the choices of who do I buy the food for, who do I bring into the space, but also who do I hire. As an owner, I have to challenge myself and continue. If this industry is going to change for the better, I can't just sit on the sideline and hope somebody else is going to do that. I'm in the center of that. I have these opportunities. And so for me, it's very important to be a game changer in the industry.
For Samuelsson, representation isn't just a trend, it's a duty. We got in the kitchen with him, along with Marcus DC executive chef Anthony Jones, who helps him blend global and DMV flavors.
First of all, welcome to our kitchen.
Thank you, this is very exciting.
And I want you to meet Chef Anthony.
This is the man. Nice to meet you, man.
It is.
I've had only wonderful things.
Well, it's a day is early, anything can happen. So, so we want to, for us it's important to break bread with our customers, and that first bite is really delicious. So we're going to start with actually some cornbread. We have cornbread in all of our restaurants.
Right.
This is based on blue cornbread and cornmeals. And as we're putting this dish together, you should just break that up.
Okay.
And look at that blue.
Ooh.
Right? That's your cornbread.
I read a review in the Washington Post that said when a woman ate this cornbread, she moaned with pleasure how good it was.
Yes, 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 yes. So try it with the butter too, because that's really like how.
How much do I need to apply on it?
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Like
that's,
so?
That's an experience, right? And this idea, this back and forth between traditional Ethiopian or African cooking with modern is really realized in this beef tartare.
Oh, this is amazing.
It's good, right?
It's incredible.
You don't have to be a woman to moan. You know, anyone can moan. So, from a wife's village, a lot of Ethiopian food is vegetarian. But when we eat meat, it's really about a celebration, something big. And in the Garaga region, when you have kitfo, which this is called, raw beef, it's something big to celebrate.
Right.
And when we think about beef tartare, we very often think about French tradition.
Yeah.
But it just shows you that this cooking has been around forever. I'm just going to take a little bit of beautiful beef. I could pick some salt. And of course, our gold, our red gold, berbere.
Red.
And then just add in flavors of a little bit of fresh herbs. So I go back and forth between techniques that are old and traditional from Africa, but then also French techniques. So the egg yolk. This dish explains so much the back and forth, right? Because it's really modern Africa. It wouldn't be fair to call it traditional.
Right.
It's truly a modern experience, right? And we're gonna finish this off with some fresh herbs. And now you have a dish that for me represents both Africa, but also a modern American cooking. So I call this modern African cooking, modern black cooking.
Right.
Not from one place, but really a bridge between the two, right?
So multiple places represented in the dish. Right.
Welcome to Marcus.
Thank you. This is fabulous. I mean, first of all, it's an art piece, the way it's plated. It's incredible, and I'm sure it tastes great.
Yes.
So,
go ahead. Dive in.
I'm gonna drop that there.
Yeah.
So just take a little scoop and...
Absolutely, and use the bread. Let's put these things aside.
So it's a modern African take on the traditional beef tartare.
Yes.
Oh, it's incredible. I know the foundations of this because I've had the kitfo in Ethiopia, but I've never had it taste like this.
Yes, exactly.
Chef, you're a magician.
I came from a very simple background, both from Sweden and Ethiopia.
Right.
And now it feels a little bit more high-end.
So you can take practically any dish and make it high-end with this few little tweaks here and there.
Yeah, I mean, you really have to understand historically what is this dish trying to say? What's the journey of the dish? So understand the culture, understand your own journey, ask yourself questions. It's very much reflecting. That's why I write food every day.
Right.
Every day I write. And that's how, so it's never just, that's why I stay away from words like fusion, because it's not fusion. It's really about building cultural bridges and landing on delicious.
Is there a dish that you made that you were surprised by how well it represented that culture that built that bridge?
You know, when I have a dish that works well, I just want it to connect with the customer, right? Very often someone that doesn't come from our culture, that doesn't understand the link, when that happens, you know you got something.
Next, I break bread with Marcus Samuelsson, and he tells me what his hopes are for the future. From adoption to global acclaim, Marcus Samuelsson's journey defies belief. Breaking bread with him, it's clear his heart remains in Africa, and his vision is to build an extension of Mother Africa on the world stage. Is it possible to get African fine dining at the same level of prestige like we talk about Italian or French fine dining?
Listen, we got to take inspiration from pop culture. Look at Afrobeat. Look at Amapiano. These subcultures didn't even look to the West to create their own culture. They just made sure that they were dope, that they were incredible, right? And now they set the standard. If you look at subcultures like look at Burna Boy, or even look at Bad Bunny, right? First, it really starts with catering to your own audience and making it fly and making it pop there, right? We have 1 billion people, so we have enough people to make, and why should the standards have to go outside? We know our food is incredible, it's delicious, it's connected to our spirituality, it's connected to very often, of course, whether you're coastal or you're inland, but also tribal. So we have a rich history, so we can set our own guidelines. And will other people come and get it? Maybe, but even if not so, we have to evolve for ourselves. I just feel like we have to embrace ourselves, and hopefully after that, other people may or may not come and get us, but the future is in Africa.
Coming up in this industry, you were told you could not go to certain places because somebody like you had not achieved this sort of success. How did you overcome that?
First of all, for any kid, whatever industry you're in, there's going to be obstacles. And the obstacles are extremely hard to deal with. And there's always going to be an ism that you look at, like, why is this happening to me? When that happened to me, I feel very blessed that I had great mentors. Sometimes the support of my parents or my grandmother, but I also had mentors outside my family that said, don't lose hope on your dreams. Keep dreaming higher. So I feel a lot of gratitude that I had that basic tribal instinct of not just my parents and my sisters and so on, but other professionals I could reach. And I always urge that for people.
Here we are, 15 restaurants later?
Yes.
You really did prove that you can open not one, but multiple restaurants in 4 different countries. How does that feel?
Well, we have an amazing team and have a lot of people that support and are invested in the dream and in the mission, right? You know, working with young chef Anthony here that has been to the continent, cooked in the continent, it's always the highest pride for me because, you know, working with Chef Furiel at Havmar that is from Ethiopia and we built something special together, or working with young Tristan that won top chef. You know, these are incredible individuals that have invested years, and now it's their time to really take what we built and make it even better. And I can't wait to connect with more chefs in the continent. And I came to America with $300, an idea and identity that I could add value, and to show that that is still alive and thriving, right? We might have to fight for it harder than ever, but if I can do it, if I can come from, I was born in a hut that is the same size of an 8-top of this table, if someone can come out of that and be able to realize their dream, I really want to represent that you can hold on to your dream, whatever it is, you can make it happen.
All right, Marcus, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Let's cook.
Let's cook. Awesome.